Right now, sitting in your golf bag, there might be a driver that is secretly costing you strokes. Not because it's broken, not because it's old, but because it was never the right fit for your swing in the first place. And the worst part? You probably bought it because a magazine ranked it number one, or because your favorite tour pro was swinging it on Sunday. The wrong driver does not just waste your money, it turns your normal miss into a disaster. It takes a gentle fade and bends it into the trees. It takes a decent launch and drops the ball out of the sky like a dead bird. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which types of drivers create these problems, why even award-winning models can wreck your game, and how to avoid the most common trap in golf equipment shopping. Let's count them down. At number 5, the Ultra Low Spin Tour Driver. This is the club that looks incredible on paper. It sits in the bag of every scratch golfer you follow on social media. It has a compact shape, a flat profile, and a name that usually includes words like Tour, or Triple Diamond, or LS. And for the right player, it is genuinely a weapon. But here is the thing nobody talks about when they're drooling over test results. These heads are designed to strip spin off the ball. For a player swinging at 115 miles per hour with a positive angle of attack, that is beautiful. The ball launches with a penetrating flight, holds its line, and carries forever. But for the average golfer who swings closer to 90 or 95 miles per hour, removing spin is like pulling the parachute off a skydiver mid-jump. The ball just falls. Here is the perfect example. The Callaway Elite Triple Diamond was MyGolfSpy's top overall driver in their 2025 test. That is a real result from real testing. And when people see that headline, they rush to buy the Triple Diamond because it is the best. But that overall ranking was built from data across multiple swing speeds and categories.
Everything is spot on. Like, everything is absolutely bang on. However, that's not the full story, because I would say the Callaway Elite, so the Callaway driver, had 282 average carry distance. So that is definitely a little bit longer than what I'd normally see. 2,300 spin, spot on. Just under 160 miles per hour ball speed, spot on. Like, couldn't be better. However, there was a period of
A Triple Diamond style head with low spin characteristics can be absolutely punishing if your ball speed does not support that flat launch window. You lose carry distance. Your misses curve more because there is not enough backspin to stabilize the ball in the air. And your dispersion, which is just a fancy word for how spread out your shots land, gets wider instead of tighter. Imagine standing on a par 4 with water down the right side. You paid top dollar for this driver because it won the test. You make a solid swing, and because the head stripped away the spin you actually needed, the ball starts right, has no corrective force, and dives into the hazard. That is not a swing problem. That is a fitting problem. The club did exactly what it was designed to do. It just was not designed for you. Now here is something that will surprise most golfers, and it leads us right into the next entry on our list. At number 4, the draw-biased anti-slice driver bought by someone who does not need it. This one is sneaky because it comes from such a good place. You have been fighting a slice for years. Your buddy tells you about a draw-biased driver. The heel weighting and the closed face angle are supposed to help square the club at impact. You buy it. And for the first few range sessions, it actually works. The ball starts straighter, maybe even draws a little. You feel like a genius. But here is where the story turns ugly. Your slice was not always the same slice. Some days your path was fine and you just left the face open. Other days your path was out to in and the face was square. A draw-biased driver does not know the difference. It just applies correction every single time, regardless of what your hands and body are doing that day. So on the days when you actually make a decent swing with a neutral path, that built-in draw bias now pulls the ball left. And if you happen to close the face a touch on top of that, now you have a hook, a two-way miss. This is where golfers lose strokes without ever realizing the club is the problem. They think they suddenly developed a hook out of nowhere. They start making swing changes to fight the pull. And now they are chasing their tail because the equipment is amplifying a mistake that did not exist before they changed drivers. The smart move is to get fitted. Know your actual path and face numbers. If you consistently slice with an open face, a draw-biased head might genuinely help. But if your miss pattern changes round to round, or if your miss is already left some of the time, that draw bias becomes a ticking time bomb. You are basically installing a permanent left turn signal on a car that sometimes needs to go right. And speaking of things that sound good in theory but fall apart in practice, the next entry might be the most misunderstood driver type on this entire list. At number 3, the lightweight distance driver bought purely for speed. The pitch is simple and it sounds amazing. Lighter club equals faster swing equals more distance. And there is real physics behind that idea. Reducing the total weight of a driver can increase club head speed for some golfers, but speed without control is just chaos with a longer ball flight. Here is what happens in reality. You pick up one of these ultralight drivers in the store. You take a few swings on the simulator. The numbers look great. Your swing speed bumps up 2 or 3 miles per hour. The launch monitor says you just gained 8 yards of carry. You buy it on the spot. Then you take it to the course and something feels off. The club is whipping through the zone so fast that your timing is destroyed. Your strike location starts wandering all over the face. You are hitting it off the toe, off the heel, sometimes catching it high, sometimes low. That speed you gained in the store? It is gone now because your body cannot repeat the same motion with a club that feels like a feather. My GolfSpy's 2025 test looked at 37 different drivers. There was major performance separation across the field. The Cleveland High-Bore XL Lite landed at the bottom of that test, while the Callaway Elite Triple Diamond led overall. Now that does not mean every Cleveland driver is bad. Cleveland makes great golf equipment, but it does show that light and easy speed does not automatically equal better scoring performance when you look at the full picture of accuracy, distance, and consistency together. The lesson here is that the best driver for you is the one you can control on the course, not the one that looks fastest on a screen indoors. Weight matters, feel matters, timing matters. And if you sacrifice all three just to see a bigger number on a launch monitor, you are going to be very confused when your handicap goes up instead of down. But wait, if lightweight drivers can fool you in the store, the next entry on our list proves that even the most trusted brands can fool you with a simple calendar date. At number 2, the latest flagship driver bought without comparing it to last year's discounted model. Every January, the golf world loses its mind. New drivers are announced, commercials show tour pros crushing 320-yard bombs, social media fills up with unboxing videos and first-hit reactions, and golfers everywhere start convincing themselves that this year's model is the one that will finally change everything. But here is a dirty little secret the industry does not love talking about. Year-over-year improvements in driver performance have gotten incredibly small. The physics of a 460cc titanium head are pretty well understood at this point. Each new model might offer a slightly different weight placement, a cosmetic update, a new paint job, or a more refined adjustability system. But the actual ball speed gains, often within the margin of measurement error. Golf Monthly ran a 2026 comparison between the Ping G 430 Max 10K and the newer Ping G 440K. These are 2 generations of the same family from one of the most respected brands in golf. The result? Both performed almost identically in distance and forgiveness. The newer G440K offered more refinement and adjustability. That is real. But for the average golfer standing on the first tee, the difference between those 2 clubs was almost invisible in actual performance. Now here is where it gets interesting from a money perspective. When a new model drops, the previous year's version gets discounted, sometimes significantly. So you could buy last year's driver, which performs within a hair of the new one, and save enough money to also get a proper fitting session. That fitting will do more for your game than any cosmetic upgrade ever could. The golfer who buys the newest model every year without comparing it to the previous generation is not chasing performance. They are chasing newness. And newness does not lower your score. But if you thought buying last year's model was the biggest missed opportunity in driver shopping, the final entry on our list reveals a mistake that can actually make a great club work against you. At number 1, the best overall test winner bought without checking your specific weakness. This is the most common and most damaging mistake on the entire list. And it happens because golfers do something that seems perfectly logical. They read the reviews. They find the driver that won the most respected independent test, and they buy it, assuming that if it is the best overall, it must be the best for them. Let me tell you why that thinking is flawed.
Check these numbers out. So let's start with the spin numbers. The max, the highest spinning out of the 3 for me, was averaging 2,669 spins, so 2,669 revs per minute. Medium to high end, which is where a max driver really should be, for kind of middle swing speed, the slowest.
The TaylorMade Qi 4D won MyGolfSpy's 2026 driver test. That is a legitimate accomplishment. The testing is rigorous, the sample sizes are real, and the data is solid. But MyGolfSpy also noted something that most buyers will gloss right over. For slow swing speed golfers who struggle with accuracy, the Qi 4D may not be ideal because accuracy was its weakest category at that speed segment. Think about that for a second. The number one overall driver in the biggest independent test of the year has a specific weakness, and that weakness happens to line up perfectly with one of the most common player profiles in amateur golf. Slower swing speed plus accuracy struggles is probably the most populated corner of the golfing universe, and those are exactly the golfers who might suffer with this club. This does not mean the TaylorMade Chi 4D is a bad driver. It clearly is not. It means that best overall is an average. It is a composite score across multiple categories and multiple swing speeds. Your game is not an average. Your game has specific strengths and specific holes. If your biggest problem is keeping the ball in the fairway and your swing speed is on the moderate side, the overall test winner might actually make your weakness worse. The right approach is to identify your specific problem. Is it launch? Is it spin? Is it dispersion? Is it carry distance? Then find the driver that scores best in that specific category for your specific swing speed. That club might be ranked 5th overall or 8th overall, but for your game, it is number 1. And now let me give you a quick bonus that ties into everything we just covered. Even if you find the right driver, you need to know that conformance is not guaranteed forever. Before the PGA Championship in May of 2025, Rory McIlroy was forced to switch drivers because his gamer was deemed non-conforming by the USGA. The likely cause was that the face had thinned over time through repeated use, pushing the characteristic time past the legal limit. In plain language, the face got too springy from being hit thousands of times. The club was legal when it was new. It became illegal through wear. If that can happen to Rory McIlroy, one of the best players on earth with access to unlimited equipment support, it can happen to anyone who games the same driver head for years. And this is not just a tour player issue. In April of 2026, Takomo Golf announced that some of their Ignis D1 drivers did not meet USGA and R&A limits when the heaviest weight was placed in the toe and the second heaviest in the heel. The driver had been on sale since July of 2025. It was priced around $319. It actually produced some of the strongest distance numbers among budget models in MyGolfSpy's 2026 test. But certain weight configurations pushed it past the characteristic time limit. Takomo pulled the driver from their website and offered free replacements with a conforming version. They even emailed customers directly when they discovered the problem, which is actually pretty responsible. But the fact remains that people were playing tournament rounds with a non-conforming club without knowing it. This echoes what happened back in 2016 when Wilson released the Triton driver from their Driver vs. Driver TV contest. The Triton hit stores before USGA testing was completed. When the USGA did test it, certain weight configurations with the 12-gram weight in the toe and 6-gram weights in the heel and back exceeded the characteristic time limit. Wilson had to change the accessory kits and offer exchanges. These cases prove that even clubs from established brands can fail conformance. Adjustable weights, thin faces, and aggressive engineering all push right up against the legal boundaries. And when manufacturers test internally, their own equipment calibration can sometimes differ from the USGA's standard testing apparatus. Takomo actually admitted this. So here is what ties all 5 of these together. The wrong driver is not always a bad driver. In most cases, it is a good driver in the wrong hands. The ultra-low spin tour head is incredible for the right player. The draw-biased driver saves slicers every weekend. The lightweight distance driver helps some golfers find speed they were missing. Last year's flagship is still a phenomenal club. And the overall test winner earned that title for real reasons. None of these drivers are garbage, but every single one of them becomes a problem when it is bought blind. The real enemy here is not any specific brand or model. It is the assumption that what works for the best player or what scores highest in a test or what gets the most hype online will automatically work for you. Golf is a game of margins. A few hundred RPMs of spin in the wrong direction. A degree or two of launch angle that does not match your speed. A weight configuration that pushes a face past legal limits. These tiny differences add up to big misses, lost strokes, and frustrating rounds where you blame your swing when the real culprit is sitting right there in your bag. Get fitted. Check the conforming list. Compare last year's model. Know your numbers. And never let a headline make your equipment decisions for you.